How you folks doing? My name is James here. I'm out at my homestead studio and I'm so happy to be with you today. I did shoot a video a few days ago in regards to a question that came in where they're doing a bridge from number 7, Ponic 8, abutment 9, and then also doing a veneer on number 10. It came in prepared this way, and this doctor wanted to use katana and wanted to know what would be the best way to handle the veneer on 10. I am up at my homestead recovering from a hip replacement surgery, so I'm learning how to walk again, but I'm doing extremely well. So this video will take you out on one of my walks where I talk about the case and managing zirconia in the anterior zone and ways to bond in an anterior zirconia veneer. Believe it or not, it's really happening a lot in our profession now. I see more and more forums that are documenting great anterior zirconia, and we definitely have the materials to do that today. So I'm going to take you on my walk with me as I give advice and my perspective on how to manage this case, and can we do an anterior zirconia veneer and bond that in with security. Let's get on to the walk. How you folks doing here? I had a message come into my website about a question about how to blend in a bridge, which is going to be a katana bridge with a veneer. The katana bridge goes through 7 through 9, and then the veneer would be on number 10. And the question is, what's the best material to use for number 10? Would it be Emax or would it be katana? What would be the best way to go with that? Now, in my experience with anterior zirconia, I have found that anterior zirconia can work pretty well. It depends on what you're using and how you're firing. Katana has worked really well for me posteriorly. My best material anteriorly thus far has been the Zircad MT Multi. Now, having said that, we now have prime out for chairside. There's 2 firings. You have the 15-minute cycle and the 23-minute cycle. The 23-minute cycle will provide quite a bit more translucency. So I don't have enough experience with that yet, but it is a nice product. Thus far of what I've used posteriorly, I've been limited on the shades that I've had access to. But having said that, I really think it's going to be a home run. So what would be my approach when I'm working anteriorly? Here's a case where we have an implant bridge from 6 to number 8, and then number 9 and 10 are actually zirconia as well. So the bridge is zirconia, and this Zircad MT Multi B1. In my hands, I really like the MT Multis because I use a longer firing cycle, and this was fired in the CS6. I was kind of going uphill there, so I lost my breath. I'm out here walking, getting my hip in better shape and conditioned. I've never been able to walk like this probably for a good 7 years. I have a little of a limp yet, but I'm working with physical therapy to get a natural gait. So back to this case, number 9 and 10 were chosen in zirconia mainly because it's a darker root on both 9 and 10, and I wanted them to also blend in with the bridge. As you can see, it's a little lower value in the cervical area of 9 and 10, but it still works. And then number 11 is Emax, and the premolars on either side, first and second premolars, are out of Emax as well. The way I can get this to blend is I'll use one shade darker of the Zircad MT Multi on the long cycle. Now, what we place on it will also make a difference. I like Mio aesthetic in this case, where we used Mio 850 on the Emax posteriorly, Mio aesthetic on the Zirconia. Meosec an 850 basically is a liquid ceramic. And on zirconia, I use 2 coats. I put on the colors with glaze, and then I do a final glaze over the colors. There is a 16-minute cycle, and I'll post that on my website. But the 16-minute cycle does really make it work a whole lot better than it used to be. I think it used to be about a 24-minute cycle in a normal ceramic furnace. So it does work pretty well, but that's the only way I can get Emax and zirconia to blend. And in the future, I'll have to see how the prime works with that. Now, in the case that was questioned here about cementing a veneer on 10 to blend in with the zirconia, let's go ahead and get in the gate here. We have our full area where our garden is and where we live fenced in, just to keep animals out and the dogs in. So back to this case in question here, I think anteriorly, particularly if you're using Katana 1, I would go with Zircad Multi for now, since you can get the full bridge block and use that. Don't plan on doing the procedure in one appointment, and then go ahead and do the veneer in the Zircad MT Multi. As far as placing the veneer on, you can bond fairly well. There's 2 great systems. Ivoclar has a system. Also, Carrari has a system to bond zirconia. But what I would do is go ahead, if I were using the Ivoclar system, is before cementing on a zirconia veneer, I'd go ahead and sandblast well, and then use Ivoclean to really cleanse the internal portion of the veneer, and then put a metal primer on it. That's the Monobond Plus. And with that, you can cement that right on like you would a ceramic veneer. I'd used a dual cure ceramic aesthetic. You can tack it on. If you're using Zircad MT Multi, it's more translucent. You will be able to cure through that, but go ahead and tack that on, and that's going to stay on really well. The strength on zirconia, when you're processing it in this manner, is up to around 40 megapascals. Now, I've heard from researchers that it will drop probably down to 50% of that initial strength, but that still leaves you at 20 megapascal strength, which is pretty strong. Europe is doing more veneers in zirconia than we are here in the US. I still prefer ceramics for veneers, but we're making changes now that we're getting more aesthetic zirconia and having these other options here. But as far as the question goes, for this case, I would definitely use the Zircad MT Multi over the Katana 1, because the Katana 1 is going to be a lot more opaque. And you can make the Zircad MT Multi look really close to Emax. Just choose 1 shade darker than you would for your target shade with Emax. Maybe sometimes 2 shades darker based on who the patient is. So for instance, if you're using more of an A2, you may want to go maybe 2 shades darker. If it's more like a BL4, you want to go 1 shade darker, like a B1 in this case, and it actually worked out pretty well. I do appreciate your questions that are sent in, but this is a good case to work through. I do think using similar type of materials when you're going across that anterior smile zone, it's easier to blend, particularly with the value. Value often is impacted by the reflection of light, how it bounces off of a surface, and also how it's absorbed. So zirconia is going to bounce light more. And where you see your value is in the shadows. Using light materials across the midline, or in a case like this, you're going to be going from a lateral to a lateral. Using the same material, I think, would definitely be a better home run for you. Bonding it in should not be a problem. It's just about getting the right colors and how you finish it. Definitely Mio Aesthetic will help you out with that as well. So hope this helps. And it's good to be out with the living again here on my ranch. And I'm looking forward to getting back to the office and teaching some more. We do have a class coming up in December that we had to delay because of my surgery. They moved my surgery up 2 months, but it's good to be out walking again. So if you have any questions or comments, make sure you post them below, and I'll see you in another video real soon. Bye now.